Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the July 17th Administrative Services Committee meeting. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the June 20th meeting.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Seconded.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Privilege of the floor. Anyone here to speak to the privilege of the floor? Oh, it's up here. You scare me. Seeing no one, we'll close the privilege of the floor. And let's move on to our first proposed resolution. Transfer of foreclosed properties to the Chautauqua County Land Bank Corporation. Please state your name for the public.
Kim Mullane, Director of Real Property Tax.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this resolution is for all the properties that the land bank took before the auction started.
They have to be announced individually. No. Okay.
I don't think so. Do they need to be announced?
Hmm?
Do all the parcels need to be announced?
Do they
Individually?
normally vote on them? No, I just was reading. Never mind. I'm going with you, Kim. Okay.
I'm missing something, but I'm good. So yeah, we have some rehab properties, some demolitions, and some side lots. Side lots are always good because there's always the possibility of them getting acquired by a neighbor, which is always a goal. And usually they also get requested so someone can do something on them or with them, which is a nice thing to happen. The demos kind of speak for themselves, and the rehabs go through a process through committees. And I guess I'm speaking for the land bank here as part of the committee. And they target some properties that have the possibility of being improved, and which is good for not only the neighborhood, but the tax roll. So that's what we have. I was kind of hoping and kind of requested that it'd be a shorter list because our list of foreclosure properties was shorter, and we delivered a shorter request list. So those are my thoughts on this resolution.
Do you have anything to add?
No? Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Chautauqua County was one of the early adopters of the land bank, I read. In our
What's that?
papers, right?
What was that?
Chautauqua County was one of the early counties to establish,
A land bank.
yeah,
Yes,
so we're kind of,
yes. And the rest of the state watches sort of what we do. And we become the,
Poster child.
what?
Poster child.
Poster child, guinea pig, whatever you want to call it. Not guinea pig, that doesn't sound good, but
template, the
template, the
pinnacle,
The example.
pinnacle,
example, there you go, example.
and yeah,
I mean, that's pretty neat, that's really good. You're doing an excellent job.
It's not me.
I know, but you are part of it.
No, I'm not.
You're not at
No.
all.
Mm-mm.
no.
Oh, wow.
Not at all.
All right, Gina is doing
But I
an
am.
excellent job.
Okay.
You're part of it, yeah.
Bob's doing an excellent job.
No, I'm not asking for
We
that.
do think you're doing an excellent job.
I am now part of it, and I am realizing there is a lot of work that goes into it. So I'm slowly becoming a believer. Not quite there yet, but I'm slowly becoming a believer. So, no questions, no comments, no concerns. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Our next proposed resolution, distribution of mortgage taxes.
This is the same as it is every year. It's a little later this year, but normally I think it's in June. But this is the breakdown of the mortgage tax for each town and village
In city.
and city.
Sorry,
It's all
I
right.
knew you were gonna get there. So, yeah, this is an annual event that happens and
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I might elaborate a little bit, this is for the distribution of mortgage taxes for the period of October 1 through 2022 through March 31 of 2023. And I, just out of curiosity, I always like to look at the trends of our mortgage taxes. And compared to the prior 6 months, these mortgage taxes in total are down by 19.5%. And compared to the same 6-month period the year before, they're down by almost 24%. So clearly our mortgage taxes have peaked and we're on the downward trend now of mortgage taxes.
Which reflects the market value of properties and stuff.
I think market value, and yes,
Yes.
thank you for that. I also think, I'm gonna say 3 years ago, Kevin, 4 years ago, all those houses that had been listed for 18 months or got bought up and the inventory
Mhm.
shrank.
Inventory has shrank and mortgage rates have gone up. So you're not having as many people
right.
refinancing
Right.
and you're not having as many people
So
purchasing.
probably refinance was a big part of it.
Yes, yes.
No, I appreciate those numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
I've noticed, at least in the village, the number of signs. I used to joke with Terry Nebel that I wondered if he was running in my district because he had more signs up in my district than I did. But, that's really gone away. And now we're getting back to the for sale, sold before it even
Mhm.
gets under contract.
I spoke with Steve Holt. He's a realtor here in Mayville about that. And he was like, we have no inventory. As soon as something's on the market, it's sold. He
Or
goes, it's
before,
crazy. He's like,
they sell it but you have to agree to put the sign up, even though it's sold, so they get the notoriety of the
Yeah.
property, which is a good problem. Because I got sick of seeing Terry Nebel signs in my district, so. So there you go. Any other questions, comments, or concerns about the distribution of mortgage taxes? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next is a list, or the resolution is quick claim deeds. Kim is still here. These are all just reacquisitions.
correct.
Do you happen to have a total? I started on this and then
No, was there not
Okay.
there's no total.
I just.
I
thought
do
it
not.
would be-
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I got halfway through and I don't know what happened and I didn't get back to it. So these are all basically,
These are just basically parcels that the property owners reacquired their property before the auction started.
so it's like taxes paid.
All taxes had to be paid and they had to pay deed and recording fees to get their property back.
So it's nice when this is a big list.
Do we basically break even on the fees or do we make money off of that?
Yes, because they have to pay the,
Well,
Oh,
they
I'm
have,
sorry.
they
Go
have to
ahead.
pay to we charge them the fees to record everything in the county clerk's office. So basically we get what taxes were owed.
Right, but it's a wash, the fees, I mean, we don't make.
we don't make money,
Mm-mm.
but it's paid.
But it gets paid and it doesn't go to auction where it might not get paid and then they get wiped off. So
They have till April,
this round had until the day before the auction because they reacquired it.
no, but what I'm saying is without the fee, they have up until May to reacquire. But once we go into the foreclosure, then they have to pay the fees that were put on. Yep.
Yeah, in May, they only had to pay the back taxes, but after May,
then they, pay the foreclosure fee or whatever. Whatever fees are needed, they have to pay to become whole.
Right.
they basically buy their property back from the county.
Thank you.
Do they pay a mortgage tax? No, that's just taxes, never mind. Sorry, Pierre, I was trying to find an avenue there. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Um, let's see.
Thank you.
Kitty, are you gonna speak to both of these?
Peace.
The workers' comp and then Kathy here doing captain for the.
Okay, do you wanna come up and we'll do, our next resolution will be authorizing the 2024 levy of workers' comp costs.
Reorganization. You don't need to see. You're okay with the reorganization? Yeah.
Because you'll see, Kevin will see it on Wednesday, and I'm sending out the
So
presentation.
we're all good with the reorganization. I'm just telling you that in advance.
Okay.
Okay.
But you could talk about.
It was outstanding, but, okay, here we go. Tell us about the authorizing 2024 levy of participants' share of Chautauqua County self-insurance plan, workers' compensation costs.
Okay. And did you, I didn't know if you had already done it did you have to vote to consider it under other? No?
No.
Okay, okay,
Not in committee.
okay.
We're cool.
Right. Kitty Crow, Director of Finance. The workers' comp resolution is our annual resolution to show what the allocation to the plan participants will be for the next budget year. This is approximately a decrease in the overall budget of $600,000. So we've had really good trend experience continuing. And we did see some good reduction in our claims. Part of that was, the city of Dunkirk that dropped off, but really looking at all the municipalities. I mean, a couple did have, like an increase, but for the most part, everyone's claims experience was down last year. So almost everyone will see a decrease. There was just a few that it was just due to a significant claim in 2020 that resulted in them seeing a slight increase in their assessment for next year. But they were the only
Can you tell us who didn't see a decrease?
Arkwright, I mean, these are like under $2,000 adjustments. French Creek was
Did you
up
say
about,
West Eye?
yeah. French Creek was up about $3,500. North Harmony, $700. Portland, $600. Westfield, $200. Unfortunately, the Village of Fredonia had a significant increase of approximately $40,000, and Lakewood, $2,800.
Kitty, French Creek's allocation is only $1,800, and you said it went up $3,500.
There, oh, I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong row. Gary went up $3,500.
So what happened in the Village of Fredonia?
They must have had a significant increase in their claim. Oh, you know what it was? A couple of them had also changes in their year-to-year payroll. So that would change their assessment. And then if they had a significant change in their experience, that would impact their allocation. But I'll look into Fredonia just
Okay,
to
just
give
so
you
I
more
know.
specifics.
Thank you. In case anyone asks me. Or you-
Or Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a percentage on your payroll, so if you increase $100,000 and you're paying 3.5%, you're going
Yeah.
up 3,500 up, it's.
Yeah, I did notice a couple that their payroll changed, and I kind of just double checked it because I thought, but then, even with the county, you can have, I mean, just with COVID, even I think probably there was some municipalities, they probably had vacancies just like we did. And then once they're filled, then their payroll goes up and,
Sure.
it doesn't take more than a few people to increase,
Right.
Did you give a number overall that it went down?
$620,000. Dennis more than pays for himself. Had to put in a plug for him because he really does do a good job with our claims.
I was in favor of him right from the start. I think I voted for him.
What's his last name?
Brooks.
It's been great. Great run. Right, Kitty?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions, comments? Lisa, you got anything?
I'm excited to see it's going down,
Yeah.
because we've heard Kitty explain how the rates are created to begin with, experience and payroll and all these different factors, so that's really good. That's a substantial
Yeah, it is. That's
savings.
There was
Yeah.
a change in the formula, right? That was part of
Yeah,
it.
but that won't change the total budget amount. So it's just really, I did see, good decrease in the 2022 claims overall. And then, anytime where Dennis can, like if they, negotiate a settlement, we look at those pretty closely because that, usually saves us money in the long run. So. But,
excellent.
hopefully the trend will continue.
Thank you, Kitty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we have a resolution approving labor contract with CSEA Unit 6300.
Thought you were taking a pen.
Do a little quieter. Please state your name for us. Titles.
Debbie Mikowski, Director of Human Resources.
Kitty Crow, Director of Finance.
Patrick Slagle, County Attorney.
Thank you. What do we have?
So we are happy to announce, as of about an hour and a half ago, we have a member-approved tentative agreement with CSEA 6300. 89.1% voted yes. As you can imagine, both sides came to the table with some very hefty items. We won't go into the details on negotiations out of respect for that process. But the emphasis was on wages in the context of recruitment, retention, inflation. So everything that we've been talking about for at least a year. We're now able to share the details with you, specific details of the tentative agreement, so that you're able to approve the resolution with confidence. Kitty, did you want to, I think Kitty did you just give your hand out?
Yeah, Patrick passed it.
Oh,
off.
okay, okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Mhm.
And I probably should know this. 6,300. Who is that?
Largest. That's our largest
That's
Union.
the,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
The main employees,
I should know that.
Yeah.
700
Approximately, oh, yeah.
Is it 700 some?
over 700 some employees of the county.
Yeah.
Got it, thank you.
700 CSEA or total.
A total.
CSEA, yeah.
CSEA.
Between 700 and 800 probably, yeah. Okay, so for those of you who've been through this before, can I have just a summary of the financial components of the agreement? And, you know, down at the bottom kind of summarizes what I put together as a projection of the impact to the overall budget. So we'll go through this line by line. I do want to, you know, emphasize from maybe the last time we settled a contract, not the last 1-year agreement, but the one before, where we had changes to the health plan, where we got rid of the expensive Cadillac PPO plan, and everyone, you know, moved on to our high deductible plan, and that resulted in savings that could help offset cost increases. You know, so my comments at that time were like, going forward, it's really going to be about how we can manage the cost increases, because there aren't any other significant decreases that will really have a material impact on, you know, the overall budget. So that was our challenge, and I'll just kind of go through these line by line here. So and this just shows, you know, the 4 years of the contract, and then down below it kind of totals up year by year and the cumulative impact. So starting with wages up at the top, the annual settled wage increases were 3%, 3%, 3.5%, and 3.5%. We also negotiated where everyone would receive one step additional increment. So beginning January, everyone will go up one more step than they otherwise would have as a one-time bump up. And that represents in the first year, roughly on average, about a 3.5% additional increase. We felt this was important, you know, with respect to both recruitment and retention. You know, we want some that we were just talking about at the last meeting, that, you know, we've had so many retirements and things that it's, you know, something like this can really help somebody, you know, maybe they'll decide to stay with the county a couple of more years. So we'll have more time to build in that transition for when they do retire. But also with recruitment, I mean, I just have one example for a mid-level position that somebody responded they were already making $6 an hour more at their current job, and that's not a small difference. So we do face those challenges, and we looked at comps as well. So we're not trying to, you know, be the highest paid, but we want to be competitive so we can, you know, get good recruits. I forgot to bring it with me. I did also have kind of charted out, like over it's almost a 20-year period, looking at what inflation is compared to all of our contract increases by contract. So you can see where we've you know, been with respect to inflation. And so we've tracked pretty closely. So I'm comfortable that, you know, while this is a bump up, we're not out of the range where we would want to be. So then kind of the next section down here. So that just gives you the subtotal of those increases. The other thing that we looked at, you know, with respect to, you know, the high inflation that we've had, we can't deny that the county is not in a healthy financial position. That's pretty, you know, public knowledge. And so, you know, we had to take that into consideration. Again, with recruitment and retention in mind, trying to combat inflation, we did negotiate some one-time bonuses throughout the contract. We did this kind of specifically in lieu of percent wage increases, because the percent, you know, on the base wage, that compounds and that can get very expensive. So the union did eventually agree that with some one-time bonuses, that allows the county to kind of maybe fund some of those differently as we prepare our budgets. But I'll talk about the budget stuff at the end here, the budget impact. But we did also plan those out in 2 installments each year. again, so that the employee would need to kind of stay longer during the year to receive that second installment. So that's kind of
Mhm.
been our theme here.
Very purposeful.
Additionally, in years 25, 26, and 27, the bonus is contingent on where inflation is relative to our tax cap. So while you might think we're doing it in reverse, we recognize that if inflation is high, that's, the employee is experiencing that, in their bottom line. But at the same time, the county has a tax cap we have to deal with. So if inflation is less than 2%, then the bonuses will not be awarded. And so that's where we kind of, make up or keep things in balance if, because we're not going to give a pay decrease, but we can say we're holding that bonus contingent with the tax cap and inflation factor and that comes out of the comptroller's office in like September, I think is when or maybe even August, where they state what the inflation factor is for us to calculate how much, whether we could, the tax cap is it's the lesser of inflation or 2%. So if inflation is 1.7, that's our tax cap. So this would allow us in those years not to have to pay out the bonus. We did have a small change in longevity, and that is just going up $10 a year for those with, instead of 10 years of service, starting at 7 years of service. The county executive, had a priority of for safety, and we were able to negotiate a footwear stipend, but also then requires, the safety boots to be worn. So we kind of, even though it's a slight cost, we feel like that, any incident that it avoids is worth it. Another item here that what's referred to as, sometimes it's called sick bonus, sometimes it's called good attendance bonus. But what that is if an employee does not use their sick time in a 3-month period, then they get paid out a cash bonus. It's not a whole lot. However, there's kind of a huge administrative burden associated with this. And we also feel from a management perspective, it's always created the wrong incentive, because we find in a lot of cases that employees will come to work sick so they can get that bonus. We don't want people to come to work sick. And so, we've tried to negotiate this in with, offsetting with other things, but finally the union did agree. And maybe through COVID, they've realized maybe coming to work sick isn't in anyone's interest. So we are very happy. While like I said, it's not a huge dollar. This represents just the savings in the bonus amount, but I don't have an estimate for the administrative cost of tracking people's sick time and paper forms and, payroll processing and that sort of thing. So we are kind of happy with that. We were able to eliminate this. The next few items are related to health insurance. Again, they're not significant because we don't have any big plan changes that we looked at, but again, they do have administrative costs associated with them that are not included in these estimates. But now that we have health savings accounts, there's very few people that still were eligible to enroll in flexible spending accounts. And so we will no longer offer those after this year. And that saves us in our administrative costs to the vendor. And then in some cases, the county was making matching contributions. Additionally, we had a chiropractic benefit that is now covered under the health plan subject to the deductible. But again, a huge administrative burden with processing these claims, because it's like they get reimbursed a $20 copay up to a total of $600. So some people submit it by the $20. So that's like that many checks going out. So while small dollar amount, a lot of administrative burden there. And then we had a small component where we had an overlap in how the cash out, if somebody opted out, and when they got paid their health savings contribution. And so we were able to add language that doesn't overlap. And so somebody doesn't get kind of paid two benefits for the same time period. A couple things with regard to retirement. So we there is a component in the retirement benefit where right now at the end of their last contract, they had a window in which if they retired in a certain period, they could use more of their sick time to convert to their retirement, their health insurance retirement benefit. And we negotiated to continue that, but only for the last 2 years of this agreement. So again, that's that retention component. So there is a window in the last 2 years of this agreement. And this is only for people who, there's a limit on to how much sick time you can convert to health insurance. And I think it's 50 per, usually it's like any, I don't know, whatever the limit is. There's not a lot of people that exceed that limit to begin with. So we didn't feel there was a huge risk in instead extending that benefit for those 2 years at the end of the agreement. And there is sunset language so that at the end of this contract, then that provision would sunset. Oh, and another thing we, with the proration of the cash out for eligible dependents, we've seen this cost for cash outs increase a while back. I don't even know how many years, maybe 10 years ago so far, like when they raised the age to 26 that you could cover your dependents. When we saw that age go up, we saw more and more employees retiring with a family of 3 plan because they had dependents that were still under the age of 26. Well, the current language, when you cash out, it's based on what your coverage is at the time of retirement. So if you're a family of 3, and guess what, your kid's aging off in 6 months, your whole benefit period was still calculated based on a family of 3 plan. The new language will allow it to look at by month, what level of coverage would you have been eligible for, and then it calculates the cash out based on that. So in some cases that'll be could be a significant cost savings.
And they agreed to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, let's see, with regard to a couple other items where I didn't cost them out, but we want to make sure that you're aware. We had some changes to time off with respect to how much vacation somebody can accrue. And, you know, that is lost productivity and potential, you know, additional cash out at the time of termination. And as well as we increase personal time off from 2 to 4 days and increase bereavement leave from 3 to 4 days. And additional time off was a significant of importance to the union. And so, you know, consider that their initial proposals were much different than this, and this is where we settled. So, but we felt comfortable with these increases, that they were reasonable. Another thing in this area that, you know, other administrative savings that I just want to call out though, we still had a handful of employees. While all of our employees do receive direct deposit, we did have some that were still receiving paper pay stubs because they don't have a county email. And therefore didn't have an account set up on our HR portal. So now we require all employees to have an account on their HR portal, and then they have to log on themselves if they want to get a whole printout of their paycheck. Otherwise, they just receive an email notification that it's been paid. And, you know, again, you know, from printing the stubs, distributing them, you know, every pay, there's still a number of people that were primarily our county employees that don't have a county email address right now because of the nature of their work. Like some of the highway department, they're not at a computer during the day. So they can provide a personal email address to create their portal account, or if a county email address can be assigned. So those are all the main financial components. There are a few other things that were not material and or just more administrative changes, work rules and things like that. So down below, the highlighted row is just really the total net increase over the term of the contract. But the 3 rows below are really what I want to call your attention to. The first being the variance from the base scenario. So what this number represents is as you hopefully are where we have the county has a 5-year projection. And we usually update those projections, at the time of the budget, after the adopted budget is after the budget is adopted, and maybe after our year-end financials are in. So in that model, when we project out 5 years, we're looking at where will we be relative to increasing taxes or things like that. So that model typically I build in 3% already. And so our current model shows that, we will be pretty close to break even, assuming we're increasing the levy to the tax cap limit. So this is an example in the first column there, 2.8 million. What that represents is of all these cost changes, we would expect this to impact our model by $2.8 million in the first year. So that would be the total cost. The next row there is our estimate of the general fund cost, because not all of our employees are in the general fund. Some of them work in the sewer districts or other enterprise funds. So that's roughly about 84% of the workforce is in a general fund account, meaning it would impact the levy. And then beyond that, the projected local share impact net of reimbursements, of all of our county, wages and benefits, taking reimbursements into consideration. And that's also built into the 5-year model. So I know approximately on average what percentage of our total expenses will be reimbursed by state or federal revenues. So really, what I'm projecting impact to the local share is about $1.7 million in the first year. And then you can see the numbers thereafter. So, our challenge will be, assuming the legislature also votes to ratify this agreement, in July, that gives us now more time to incorporate these figures into the tentative budget and, hopefully, find through the budget process, find other offsets to these cost increases so that we can deliver a tentative budget that will address, these changes. So, any questions?
Nice job. The vacation from 30 to 35, that's I'm sure the top people that have been here the longest kind of.
So what that changes really, it's not how much time they are allowed. It's like if they don't use it and it keeps building up. Right now there's a cap, and then if they don't use it, they can't accrue anymore.
Okay.
So that's what is changing here.
Okay.
So the amount that they can accrue up to with that before they have to take vacation has increased.
Okay.
Where this
They're
could,
getting his PTO, correct? Essentially.
yeah.
Good. Thank you. So it's really not costing us. It's just there.
Yeah, that's why I kind of lumped it as like lost productivity. They will take vacation ultimately. And, unless, you're in a 24/7 operation, you're not going to call somebody in to do that work. So it really is just.
So this person who was making $6 more. So by us adding the 3% and then moving them up a step, which is about 3.55%, what does that do to the gap between the $6 more and what we're paying?
Hopefully it's a lot closer. I don't know. I didn't anticipate that question, but I can go back to that particular position that I was, recruiting for at the time. But
I
I don't,
think it's a good question.
yep.
Very
I mean, if it
Very
adds 41 cents, it's still not doing anything.
Oh, yeah. I think it does close the gap, pretty well, especially, when you consider the one-time bonuses, the full length, the options through the duration of the contract. So hopefully that'll,
I guess for Thursday, maybe just, I'm not holding you to anything, but
Yeah.
it'd be interesting just to see.
Mhm.
Does it
Mhm.
You can
cut
see
it in
what
half?
you
Does it-
actually offered versus what it would look like in 2024.
yeah.
And I'm looking at this 3%, and then giving them the 3.55 is quite an impact on the 2024. I'm not going to verbalize this. And we pay for that down the road, but it doesn't show up in the increase because the increase is only the percentage then, because we've already put the step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
big
included in the
thing is-
cumulative increase. Yeah. So
It is, but it's not quite the impact as it is the first year on paper here. Okay, I'm good with it.
yeah, but I mean, the 3% is an average because it'd be difficult to see
Right.
what step, how many people we have at each step and then calculate that out. So I took just what the average increase is in the overall wage table. So it could be actually lower than 3.5%.
Well, I've been around long enough to find this. I used to vote against this, and I always found this process sort of curious because here you go, vote on this. And we're not even really allowed to change the in the
Mm-hmm.
wording, and I'm not asking to do that. But I do have confidence in you guys, and you've always done a great job. So I'm going to be voting in favor of this just for the employees of Chautauqua County and the work that I feel you guys have put into it to do the best for both sides. You're kind of in an interesting position because you're representing the county, but you're also trying to do what's best for the employees. So I'm going to be voting in favor of it. If anybody needs to know why I'm voting in favor of it.
Thank you.
So
We
it's a
appreciate
little bit of a compliment there
Thank you.
from Bob Scudder. Can you believe
Yeah, I know.
A little.
Are we good? Are we done?
That was our
Mhm.
presentation out,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
we'll
Anybody?
be,
Questions, comments, concerns?
We're doing an excellent job explaining every single detail as we go.
Yeah, that's good. All in favor?
And
Opposed? Carried.
thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, the discussion of the reorganization of the finance department, two of our members were here in time to hear it, and they feel okay with what they've heard, so we're not going to do it
Okay.
again for
That's fine.
administrative services.
That's fine, and I will be, after all the committees are
Please.
done, I'm going to be sending the presentation out to all the legislators, so if
And
anyone
good
has
job- good
has
job
any
on that, too.
questions, yeah,
It was
they can.
understandable, at least for me.
Okay.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Any other?
We have a local law.
Okay. Did I miss it?
It's mine. It's mine.
all right, got it.
Did we, did I get a, I guess that's fine.
Yes.
And just to go on record, I do get called at times to sponsor something because it needs to be sponsored. And it doesn't mean I'm voting in favor of it at the time of my sponsorship. It just means I feel and know the importance of it getting to the committee or to the body. So I do put my name on it. And I'm not saying I'm not voting for it. I'm just saying, so it gets to this point, I am willing to put my name on it.
Thank you for sponsoring it.
Just so I don't act totally like I don't know what's going on. Just partially. Okay. Local law amending local law 1322, providing for a management salary plan for county officers and employees. That's good enough.
So, sorry, Debbie Mikowski, Director of Human Resources.
Thank you.
What you have before you, it's a local law to create a new position within Human Resources. This would be titled Employee and Labor Relations Administrator. This position will essentially take the place of a, quote, senior personnel technician / deputy director of human resources. For those of you who don't know, the deputy director has announced his retirement end of September. By the time we received the notice, we had already missed the deadline to pre-file appropriately. And knowing the time crunch with this, if this is approved, I can't start recruiting until the resolution or the local law formally comes back from the state. Probably looking at potentially 30 days before Ken's retirement, and I won't even be recruiting yet. So my plan after his retirement to sort of move away from the deputy director title and move to this functional title that would sort of take the responsibility of employee relations and labor relations.
And
So
this-
it's a
This is
lateral?
exactly why I sponsored this. What Debbie just said.
It's a re-describing and putting
Correct.
different responsibilities, but basically lateral in terms of the money. spent.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
That's it.
That is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, other than eating up these cherry slices, any other for the good of the county?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second? I hear a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
We don't have to sign that one, right? We have to sign that.
No.